Let's delve into the Hunter Cave. So to know how to defend the Hunter Cave, you need to know where the 6 times damage ends, right? Alright, so the first thing we're going to do, these little short walls here are going to show you where the 6 times damage ends. So you can build up here on this bluff on this side, and it won't be in 6 times damage. Of course, if you hang the turrets past that point, it will be in 6 times damage. So the line right there going over, and then it loops around down to where you can see the walls that right in front of me here. That's the end of 6 times damage going that direction. Right now, if we head the other direction, there's the end of 6 times damage right there. Now, I've got the entrance kind of centered and below us to give you an idea of where the 6 times damage ends near the entrance. All right, so as you can see, to our right, straight below us, and on our left side, it's over the hill there. You can't really see it. It's under the bluff. But as you can see, you can build the 6 times damage at the front of the cave actually ends pretty close. So you can actually build some decent defenses that fire down at the cave entrance. Now, anything you put on the cliff edge and down the ravine would probably be easy to get rid of with a platform dino, so keep that in mind on when you're stalking in a bumbleless and stuff. Well, what about building defenses on top of the cave? Well, that's not a great idea, because up here you can detect most of the turrets down below. So it's better to foundation off this area up here and just kind of spam out everywhere on top of the cave to keep the enemies from putting turrets down and blocking your turrets underneath when they blow them up. On the right side, you can see we have the boundaries marked there, where the edge of the cave is, mostly, underneath. And then it swings back around. It loops down under this water and comes back over on our left side here. And you can see it goes all the way over here, just right outside of Stonehenge. And then, of course, it cuts back up at an angle toward the entrance there. So the cave boundaries are quite large here, so you need to block all that off to keep players from messing with you from above. Now, keep in mind, in all caves, I may not have a wall here at the beginning or the opening or whatever, but you want to block this off with something. A gate, a wall, it doesn't really matter. Something that tells you the enemy is there and that they're blowing their way into your base. Now, if you want, as you can see, the enemy has to run down this in a straight line. You could be putting foundations in here with railings, or fence. You can do fence supports with railings, foundations with railings. Whatever you need to do, railings slow down runners and keep them from just sprinting in. You can put turrets on this back wall that we're heading toward, and it'll fire almost to the entrance, but not quite to the entrance. So it'll make it harder for them to use the bigger dinos to soak with. Of course, you can only get so many turrets right here, right? So then it wouldn't be too hard for them to rocket run it with terror birds or on foot with the insane flak that is available to everyone. But it could be a slowdown if you really wanted to. My recommendation would be, instead, if you don't plan on coming out this way on foot, you're using teleporters and stuff like that, to just spam this with walls and foundations and doors, dino gates, whatever. Dino gates aren't as good as walls and foundations. If you're trying to save resources in this area, go for it. Just layer after layer after layer for them to blow through, for them to blow through, for them to blow through. So if they're trying to get in here and put crowd fridges down or whatever, you force them to burn through their resources. The name of the game is to burn more of the enemy resources than they have, so they have to pack up and go home. One of the reasons I wouldn't bother with turrets here firing up at entrances, the very next room is where you're going to want most of your turrets, and they would potentially be blocking your turrets from being placed in there. Right as you can see, we got a decent little choke point here as we come through, and it turns left and kind of snakes around, which kind of makes it kind of hard to use. But you can get some heavies in here on the ceilings. Now, I have some tech turrets on the walls. If you're okay with the enemy getting tech shards, that would be okay to put them on the walls in here and on the ceilings. But understand that anything put in here is probably going to be blown up because it's really close to this. You don't have 18 to 20 foundations to run to get to them. But they would be a nice slowdown, and if you're online defending and you're in this little S point blocking them and fighting them from here, these turrets would provide great support for that. So this really build is for, and all my builds are for online defending. If you're offline, it really doesn't matter how you build. A solo player will eventually get into your base, depending on how long you're offline for. Alright, so my builds are first being online and defending. Alright, of course, you don't see this spam all across the ground, the foundations and stuff. You're going to want foundations, triangle foundations, railings, whatever. Now, if you're going to be in this S choke point fighting the enemy that's trying to come through there, you may not want railings in here. You may just want foundations. Or you may have railings and just, if they're in the way, demolish them while you're in here defending and then put them back up when you're going to be offline. Alright, but it's a good idea to cover the ground in foundations. fence foundations and railings, whatever, foundations with railings. Alright, as we come around the S choke point, we come into another room. You can see in the back, we could build a turret wall back there, just so we can have focused fire. The turret wall, of course, would make it a little bit weaker. Yeah, because if turrets are on structures, they can the structures can be destroyed pretty easily with a tech rifle, and they can fall down. If you look up, and we can turn around in the corner here as we come through, you can see that we have turrets all along the walls. We have some tech turrets in range if they bring a tech saddle dino in here, but it's around the corner and kind of would be hard for them to actually peek around and shoot them, while they're also getting shot from the left over here. So these turrets are kind of a nice surprise. They come running through here with terror birds or on foot or whatever. These will kind of start blasting them sideways and into the walls and adding a lot of extra damage. And of course, turrets on the ceilings are really hard to deal with because you can't necessarily get up there and rocket them without using grapples. And again, this is a cave, you know, fence, railings everywhere, right, to stop rocket running. While they are annoying for defending in places where you're not going to be standing and fighting, you'll go ahead and put them to slow them down and stop them. So you want to keep the fighting near that S curve. Alright, so anything past that S curve should have railings everywhere and foundations everywhere. As you can see on the left side of the cave, we have even more turrets that won't necessarily be firing at the soaker in the entranceway. That way, if they're trying to use a soaker to grab aggro, these will kick in as they run past them and do a lot of extra damage. Of course, this room has some glaring weaknesses, right? We have pillars that can LOS turrets. That's another reason to have turrets wrapped around on the ceilings and walls all spread throughout here. And generally, these turrets aren't going to be soakable one at a time. They're all going to basically be reaching the same destinations when they're firing. So having them a little closer is okay, as long as they can't get to them with rockets. Of course, they can harpoon gun them and whatever, but if you're online, you can kind of prevent that. So another weakness with this room is this drop-off right here. All right, so as we go forward, see we have these turrets up here. They can turn down and look down and shoot them as they drop off, so that kind of helps. And they're going to take a little bit of fall damage when they drop off, so that helps some more. But they may try and jump down here and then sprint around and go into the next room. And this cave build, if you've seen my other cave build videos, was built before I started messing around with the door frames and realized how weak pillars were. So if you're going to have a turret wall, instead of just placing these on the walls and ceilings, I would definitely be using double door frames instead of pillars. Pillars are extremely weak. Do the double door frames, reinforce them with ceilings at the top. That way they don't fall down. Alright, and to deal with a player that might jump down here and try and run around the corner, we'll put some of our turrets back here. They should have taken a decent amount of damage by now. They might be trying to swap out their flak as they're running around. But these turrets here should start hammering them as they drop down and start sprinting back this way. And then these turrets will hammer them as they turn and run down this way. And again, spam with railings. This will cause them to have to jump or destroy the railings. So spam with the railings all the way to the back. And then, of course, when they're almost out of turret range, start putting up walls. That way these turrets will be shooting in the back while they're trying to blow through the wall. Of course, once they blow through the wall, they can get out of sight of the turrets, but that's okay because the turrets wouldn't be shooting them much longer anyway. Alternatively, instead of a wall like this, we could have turrets all along the ceilings and just railings everywhere. But again, walls are really nice if they're about to get out of range of your turrets to buy you a little bit more time. You see my other cave builds, you know that I don't have the time to go through here and fill this out with foundations. It takes hours on hours on hours to do. Probably spent like 12 to 13 hours on each of these builds already. So just know, spam everywhere in caves, okay? Spam everywhere, cover the ground in foundations, put triangle foundations up in the walls, all along the edges, just to add even more points for them to have to destroy. And if it's an area you're not really going to be moving through, you're going to be teleporting past, you're going to be running through it, really fill it full of crap, right? Fill it full of walls, railings, whatever, just spam it full of stuff. So they have to destroy to get through. And of course, once you have all the main defensive turrets put up, you can go around and see where else you can place turrets on ceilings in your cave, right? Where they're going to be running through. Because even if you can only get like 10 or 15 more turrets up in the ceilings or whatever in the hallways that they're running through, while those turrets wouldn't be amazing or do a whole lot of damage, it's still a little bit of a slowdown, and every little bit of slowdown you get buys you more time to fight back, push them out, or pull your loot out of the cave and move it somewhere else. Alright, so as we come up on the split, we can go left or right. Okay, you're going to need defenses on both the left and right side now, so that makes this cave a little bit weaker. Alright, so since the shortest distance to the main loot area in this cave, where most people are going to put their main loot or have their, all their stash and everything, is to the left, we're going to go to the left first and kind of show you that, and then we'll go back to the right. This cave's big. This video's probably going to be a little bit long because of that. There's several places you need to build turrets in. Alright, now I placed a wall in here so we can create focused fire because the ceilings and the cave walls and stuff were unaligned the turrets and they weren't doing amazing. So as you can see, we have a wall, but again, that kind of weakens the base. You may want to have just structures in here to block them from moving through, and your turrets all along the ceiling and walls, but you won't get as much focused fire up into this room where they'll be walking through with their soakers. Now, before we head over to the wall, which of course the pillars should be replaced with the door frames, but before we head over there, we're going to look to the right. As you can see, we placed some turrets over here to kind of get them as they run around, if they try and sprint around. Alright, then you'll notice we did put as many turrets on the walls and ceilings as we could, and they'll do some damage, and with these tech turrets up so high, they should be able to shoot players off the back of the stegos. And if you really felt like you could pull some of these turrets off the walls and not have such a bulk of turrets on your wall, instead having them up on the side here, and then on the ground just have lots of things to block them from pushing through with dinosaurs or sprinting through. Somewhat of a wall here with 15 to 20 turrets on it though would be good, that we have some focused fire on the enemy, and then of course tech turrets should always go up high. And then now, because there's several ways through this cave, they may try and come up behind this wall if they went through another part of the cave, so you're going to want to go ahead and place turrets back here to kind of prevent that from happening. So these turrets will be able to fire down in there for quite a ways as they try and make their way up. And of course the wall will also be able to shoot down into here behind this as well. So that should hold this side pretty well if they're coming up from behind. Alright, so now we're going to show you the right side. As you can see, it's kind of a smaller entryway here for what dinos they can get through here. Now, due to the shape of walls and things back here, the turrets will be LS by it, so we have to build a wall here. It should start shooting them about where this little rock on the ground here is. This little formation will fly over it. So about here, the wall should start shooting. As you can see, again, pillars, don't use them. Don't use pillars until Wildcard fixes pillars and makes them the way they were before. And of course, like the other areas, you know, spam through here, spam through here, spam through here. Keep the players from being able to just rush through here on foot or on terrorbirds or whatever. Alright, as you can see, we got turrets up on the walls and the ceilings as much as we can, hanging off the crystal spikes here. As you look back this way, you can see how the walls jut out, and if you were to put turrets on the walls back here, they just wouldn't be able to shoot up into that area because they'd be blocked by the where the walls are jutting out. Then once we get past the wall, we get into this huge open area, which is kind of, the ceiling's kind of far away from the ground, which is really nice. So you can just spam the ceiling with turrets. Just get them everywhere. As many turrets as you can get. I want to say there's somewhere around 175 turrets in this area due to how turret range works. And we'll go over that more in a PvP trick video on how to place turrets and get over cap turrets. Alright, there's a couple places you can put tech generators in here that are really nice. You can tuck one away right there so they have to run around the corner to get to it. You can build it around, put lots of defenses around it so they can't get in there. You can also put it up on the wall, up on near the ceiling, however you want to do it. As you can see, triangle foundations can go up in the walls, so you can get them up the ground and make it a little bit safer. And then another good area is right here as well. Now the thing with this area is they can come up from down there, which has a pillar where they can go around as well, the LOS turrets. They can also come from this way if they went to the left side first to the right. Alright, and so the next area for your main defense is going to be kind of between the left and right side. To give you an idea, I'm going to go ahead and turn around real quick. Try and do it slowly here so we don't make people sick. Alright, that's the room we just came out of, right? That has all the turrets on the ceilings and all of that. And so if they get past that, you spam it however you want, put walls up to block them from jumping down here, things like that. The next area is right down here, just out of range of those turrets. Now this spot is not amazing, right? But the thing is, if they come through the left side, they have to come up through here to get to the right side. And this room we're in right now is a good breeding room, so it's good to have defenses on both sides of it. And of course, they come in through the right side and they push through your breeding room to go into the next room, which is also a good breeding room. They'll need to get through this as well. More slowdowns you have, the better off you are. So as you can see, we got a bunch of turrets on the walls and upon stalactites to fire. We're mostly expecting people coming through here to be coming through the right side. So a lot of our turrets are focused on the right side. These can all turn around and fire back the other way as well, though. Again, a turret wall here would be okay. It gives some focus fire, no more than like maybe 30 turrets at maximum on it, and maybe 15 on each side. Right, and if you truly believe they're going to be coming through the other side, you may want to just spam this V right here with turrets, because that'll be able to fire this way and back that way as well, making this area a little bit stronger. But again, this spot isn't very strong. There's lots of LOS issues. Lots of problems with this spot. No matter which direction they come from, this spot's gonna be pretty easy to raid. And if they get enough clearance in the room that we're in the direction we're staring in right now, they can drop a boat in there and bring a boat close to here. So while this spot's not amazing, it's probably the last great spot in this cave as far as it goes. If they're to this point, you're probably just evacuating anyway. All right, and this room's probably your next largest room, which means you're probably going to be doing a lot of breeding in here, which makes this room less defensible because you're going to have lots of stacked ceilings with lots of dinosaurs sitting on it. Just being a complete mess for LOSing turrets, and if they get under that, they can avoid the turrets. So this is going to be a great room for building defenses in. It is always good to place turrets up on the ceilings and along the wall, on the cave walls, in everywhere you can. The thing is, the trick is generator range and all that kind of stuff. So you kind of got to be a little more picky now than we were in ASE. Alright, so we'll move into the artifact room area and how to build defenses there. So they can, if they came in through the breeding room instead of the drop down, they could be coming in this direction. As you can see, we have turrets up ahead. They can be firing down through here as they're trying to squeeze through these little choke points. I wouldn't put too many turrets in here because these turrets can detect the turrets that are in the artifact room, which is going to be your stronger area. But this slowdown here might buy you all the time you need to get out of your base. If your enemy's to this point, you're probably trying to evacuate because you probably already lost the fight. So as you can see here, we probably have 20 turrets. I probably wouldn't put more than that here. As you turn left, there's another choke point that doesn't allow much through. And you can have most of your defense focused in here. And this is probably your loot room where your teleporter is going to be, your crowd fridges, your vaults, everything like that. Alright, so as you can see in this room, you're going to cover the ceilings and walls in turrets. You can have a few on the ground like this to kind of shoot under the doorways. And don't build too tall in this room when you're placing your foundations and you're building your loot and stuff. Try and keep it low so they can't be used, or all along the edges of the walls, so it can't be used as LOS against your turrets. So somebody can just sprint in here and hide and then set down sleeping bags, things like that. So the build's pretty simple. All over the walls and the ceilings in here makes this a pretty defensible area. Now, of course, even though rocket explosion is reduced, if they jump and fire, these turrets will probably still be in range of the splash, but it will most likely take 2 or 3 rockets instead of 1. And then this is the other entrance to the artifact cave. It is a crouch entrance. As they come through and crouch, everyone trying to walk through, all these other turrets will start firing at them and pushing them back. So this is the side they're less likely to attack you from, honestly. Inside this cave, they're better off swinging around and coming down that long hallway and coming through here. If you enjoyed this video, smash that like button. Have an awesome day.